Okay, a lot of positives in the UCLA game, except obviously weren't able to overcome the 6 turnovers, and that was the real storyline of the game. Is I don't think I've ever been a part of a game where we turned it over 6 times and won, and so that's something that was our biggest liability on Thursday night. But our guys played hard, did some good things, particularly on defense. Proud of the way the defense hung in there in the second half. Sudden change defense was very good. With the amount of turnovers that we had, should have given up more points, but really pleased with the way the defense responded in those situations. Looking forward to Stanford. Heck of a football team, physical, probably the most physical team in the conference. Very balanced team offensively. About 50% run, 50% throw. Doing a nice job defensively as usual. They've been good on defense for a lot of years now. But, just like I said last week at UCLA, these guys are very deserving of their number 5 ranking and had a tough game against Washington, pulled it out. Washington statistically beat them up, but not in the final score, which obviously is all that matters. So we're looking forward to another opportunity on Saturday, another home game, and looking forward to another packed house and a rowdy crowd at Rice Eccles. So questions?
So Liz just said that Travis isn't here because he's sick. I know that it was mentioned that he was sick in that game.
Yeah.
Can you kind of expand on that just a little bit, how he's feeling and where he's at?
Well, he's not feeling good. He was in bed the whole game day leading up to the game. He got sick actually the night before that, and hasn't gotten over it yet. And he's under medical care obviously, and they gave him, from what I understand, a new dose of some different antibiotics to try to get rid of this thing. So we think he's going to be okay. Should be a practice later on today, hopefully, but he's been pretty bad for the last few days.
When you look at Kevin Hogan, the Stanford quarterback, where does he stand as far as guys that you've seen and maybe some quarterbacks you've compared around the Pac-12?
Well, he's a lot like Hundley in his stature, a little bit bigger, 6'4", 230-ish. Runs the ball very effectively, throws he's up in the top half of the league in pass efficiency. And so he's another dual threat guy, just like almost everybody in this conference is. There are a few exceptions, but the weeks you play a guy that's not a dual threat is not very often anymore. It's almost every week where you got a guy that can run and throw, and he's another one of those guys.
I'll continue then. Stanford's defense has been widely regarded as not just one of the best in the Pac-12, but around the country, especially their front seven. Do they do anything exotic, or are they pretty straightforward with their defensive looks?
They have a few nice blitz packages, but pretty much a straight defense, a lot of split safety looks. Front seven is physical. And, they're statistically not quite as good yet this year as they have been in the past. They're somewhere towards the middle of the league in a lot of the categories, whereas in years past they've been right there at or near the top. But still, I mean, that's they got all our respect, and it's going to be tough to move the ball on.
Watch that Stanford-Washington game, and Stanford stayed on top of Keith Price. Good pressures. I think they sacked him 5 times.
5 sacks, yeah.
Watched the edge pressures where, last weekend gave up some pressures off the edge, a couple sacks, a couple big hits, those things. What kinds of things can you do to shore up that protection, Coach, as you take on a really tough front seven against Stanford?
Well, a lot of it's just technique. We got beat, physically at times. We didn't turn a whole lot loose against UCLA as far as just unblocked. But we've got to do a better job of getting the ball out a little bit quicker and just doing a better job with our fundamentals and techniques up front. And that includes the backs as well. Backs have got to continue to contribute in pass protection.
Coach, this will be the 4th time a top 5 team will be coming in. Just your thoughts on that, how big the possibility of this game is for your team.
Well, it's a great opportunity. I mean, anytime you have a team with that lofty of a ranking, then obviously it presents an opportunity for you, a big challenge at the same time. But our fans are going to be getting used to that. In the Pac-12, that's just how it is, and we're excited about the chance to line up against a quality team like Stanford on Saturday, and our guys will be ready.
Coach, just to build off of that, how much does it help you guys, despite the loss, knowing you went toe-to-toe overcame the 6 turnovers and still had a shot against UCLA and, you know, getting another top 25 team.
Yeah, well, there are no moral victories. I firmly believe that. But as I mentioned, there's a lot of positives to build on. And as you said, you know, being able to stand in there and have a chance to win at the end, given the circumstances, was pretty remarkable. And I think that is a credit to our players and how they continue to fight. And hopefully, and that's been the MO of this team all season long. You know, these guys have been extremely tough mentally, and we hope that continues, because if that continues, we're going to have a chance every week.
Coach, as you went back and looked at the film, how many of those interceptions graded out to be on Travis, and how many ended up to be just circumstantial?
Yeah, very few were on Travis. He got hit a couple times as the ball was coming out, just as the ball was coming out, which changed the direction of the football and the flight. A couple of them were right off the receiver's hands. One was a great play by the defense, a play that you know, the ball just kind of bobbled around and end up making the play at the end on the before it hit the ground. A broken route structure. One time you were having slant and go dialed up and didn't get the whole signal on the outside, so we just ran the slant aspect of it and put the ball up, and that was the one the safety intercepted in the half. And so, to tell you, you know, Travis was you know, if it's bad decisions, just bad throws, that's one thing. But the way these 6, and you know, you still say, well, there were 6 interceptions, which is huge negative, but it was not all on Travis. In fact, very few of them were on Travis, 1 or 2. Yeah.
Coach, can you talk to me about the halfbacks? You know, Bubba Poole, kind of a rotation. It
Yeah.
almost feels like it's a heart rotation. What's going on there?
Yeah, we're trying to find out if one of the 3 will separate themselves. And right now, they're all giving us good productions. Lucky's over 6 yards a carry. Bubba's over 5 yards a carry. Kelvin's around 4 yards a carry. And so it's not a situation where we're searching for somebody to give us some production because we're getting production. We're searching to see if anyone's going to separate themselves. And if not, they'll all continue to get carries. And so they're all producing. They're all contributing. They're all doing a nice job in pass protection. And so, and I don't see that as a negative. I think it's something that if it happens, great. If not, it's not a big problem as long as we're getting production from each guy. And I don't view that like, you know, you say when you have more than one quarterback, you don't have any. I don't think that applies to other positions like it does at QB. And so as long as they're all 3 contributing and none of them are separating themselves, it'll probably continue like that. If we get a guy that starts to be, you know, become more productive than the others, then that particular guy will be the lead ball carrier. But right now that hasn't happened.
Coach, you've been so close so many times. What's it going to take to finally get over the hump and get that win, a big signature win?
Yeah, well, we've had two close games that we lost. You know, we're 3-2 obviously, and the 2 losses, the overtime loss against Oregon State and the one on Thursday. And so I think we're knocking at the door. Got to make a few more plays in the short version. I mean, we've got when you're close like that, it usually comes down to a play or a couple, 2 or 3 plays. That's the difference, which has been the case in those 2 games. And the opponents have made those plays, and we haven't. We got to find a way to make those plays.
Coach, just trying to get a gauge for how good you think this Stanford team is. Where do they rate among the teams you've had to prepare for as a coach? Do they right up there with some, like maybe in Alabama back in 2009?
Maybe not quite at that level, the Alabama level. I mean, they had unbelievable talent. You can see what they did the next 4 years or however long it's been since we played them. I mean, they've just been on a tear, and that's essentially was the nucleus of their team. And so maybe not at that level, but they're certainly, like I said, very deserving of their ranking. They're the most physical team that we've played to date, without a doubt. And as I mentioned, the most physical team in the Pac-12, in my estimation, at least to this point in time. And so they're good. Where they rank, you know, maybe like I can't remember who the other ones that were. TCU came in with a highly ranked team one time. That probably like that, you know, around that level. Just going off the top of my head.
Coach, Andy Phillips seemed like a lot of his kickoffs have been short. Is that a strategy? And if so,
if it's strategy, it's bad strategy.
I mean, to kick it to the 1 yard line, you know, and then
Yeah.
let him read. But so it's not then.
We'd like him deeper, and
You'd like
he's
to get
just mishit.
touchbacks every time then?
Touchbacks would be great.
Okay.
We'd prefer touchbacks, and which brings me to, you know, the Montgomery kid is a tremendous kickoff returner for Stanford. He's a real weapon, and you saw him take the opening kickoff against Washington Saturday night. And so we've got to figure out a way to try to keep the ball out of his hands. But to answer your question, no, our kickoffs have been not what we need them to be, and we're continually working on that and hopefully try to get them a little more hang time and a little more depth.
One other thing just about secondary, that was a concern early in the year. Just talk about how that's been improving the last few games?
It's taken steps forward, without a doubt. We still got a lot of work to do. I'm not going to say that we're there yet because we're not there by a long shot. But Keith McGill, the play he made on the interception, pick six. If we had won that game, that would have been the play of the game in my estimation. But we didn't win, so it's a moot point. Keith is, I think, second in the league right now in passes defended. The other corner, Davion Orfe, has been a little bit banged up, but he's progressing as well. Justin Thomas, Mike Honeycutt at the nickel spot. So, yeah, we're pleased with the progress, but we've got to continue to get better. And as long as they keep the work ethic and the focus that they've had the last few weeks, then I think we're going to be on the right track. Hopefully that continues.
Kyle, any theme or common thread of what's happening on third down offensively?
It's 2 weeks in a row that it showed, 2 games in a row that it showed up, and it's a problem. And so we're paying close attention to it and trying to get it solved. And I think we're 3 of 27 in the last 2 games, which is awful on third down. And so it's one of our primary issues right now. The biggest issue is there's been too many third and longs in those third downs, which means we got to be better on first and second down at getting ourselves in third and manageables instead of third and 9+. And so that's probably the first step. But yeah, that's been a huge point of our focus the last 3 days, is trying to remedy that.
Kyle, Jared Norris has led you in tackles the last 2 games. Can you just talk about his development and?
Yeah, he's been a positive for us. He's just a sophomore, and between him and Jason Whittingham at that inside linebacker spot, Jason's really played well the last couple games also. And so that's been a big plus for our defense. As we know, last year we struggled at that position, and so to have those guys step up and start to be consistent playmakers has really helped, and that's another trend that we hope continues.
Coach, I know you hate to look ahead beyond the
Hate
next
to,
opponent.
yeah, so I don't. Yeah.
After Stanford, only 2 more home games. Are you getting to the point with such a front-loaded schedule that you start to feel that pressure creep up, or it gets harder to not look ahead?
We just focus in on the next one, and the next one is Stanford here. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm sure that thought is pestering me. But right now it's not. We're just worrying about the Cardinal and trying to find a way to match up with them.
Coach, do you know if Travis is going to be able to practice today, or how are you going to handle that?
We hope.
Concerned about that at all?
Yeah, concerned, yes, but the doctors think we're finally starting to get out in front of it, and so we think that he'll be able to be at practice, but I can't guarantee that. We'll see what happens. You will never know, though, because you're not here today, are you, after practice? Yeah. Okay.
I assume you're familiar with the all-access show that the Pac-12 network is doing with Cal and Arizona State. You're not at all.
Not at all.
So well.
Is it like the Hard Knocks stuff?
Sort of, but you might say it's more promotional. So I guess my question is, did you have any opportunity to get involved in a thing like that?
Not to my knowledge. No, nobody presented, unless I'm forgetting about something. No one presented that. Liz, no? No, so I'm not forgetting. No, we didn't have that opportunity. So.
Kyle, was Travis affected at all illness-wise during the game?
No excuses. He was there, he was playing, and so if you're playing, you got to produce. And so the answer is no. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay.